Let's talk about one rapper this time.
Who?
Over 30 years of being in the rap game, Snoop Dogg is still as busy as ever. The rapper consistently drops new music for his fans and often collabs with many different kinds of artists. He continues to remain in the public eye to this day, not only for his music, but his other side quest as well.
Smoke weed.
Movies, television, wrestling, cooking, coaching, cosplay, and video games. Yep, Snoop Dogg is quite the gamer.
Fuck this shit.
So that was a tough loss. How do you feel after that?
How the fuck you think I feel? Don't ask no dumbass questions.
You can find him streaming on his Twitch channel, that is if he doesn't forget to end the stream, and even joined FaZe Clan earlier this year. We talked a lot about rappers and video games last time, but I conveniently left out Snoop Dogg. That's because he's probably appeared in more games than most rappers. So today, on the rapper's 51st birthday, let's take a look at some games featuring Snoop Dogg. Grand Theft Auto 3 was released in 2001. This was the first 3D installment in the Grand Theft Auto series. Its critical acclaim would lead to more 3D installments in the series, with each one selling more and more, and some often considered some of the greatest video games of all time. It would also inspire similar titles to be released over the years as well. In 2003, we saw the release of True Crime: Streets of LA. The big difference between this series and the GTA series is True Crime puts you in control of someone behind the law. We play as Nicholas Kang Wilson, a suspended LAPD officer who gets recruited as a detective to help solve some cases.
What happened to Henry was a true crime, and if there's one man who deserves to find out the truth, it's his son, Nicholas Kang Wilson.
As we play through the game's story, we learn more about how the cases connect to the disappearance of Nick's father. That is, if you reach the best possible ending. It's up to you if you want to be a good cop or a bad cop.
Gun in your pants?
No, I'm just happy to see you.
The missions in Streets of LA offer a lot of variety. We've got driving, shooting, stealth, and combat. All of this can vary from not so bad to downright frustrating. You can acquire upgrades like better vehicles, weapons, and new moves in the game to help out. Streets of LA also has quite the notable cast when it comes to voice acting for the game.
Hey, Johnson, how about that time a stray bit you in a wiener, huh?
Hey, Chief. Who's the suit?
Nick, this is Agent in Charge Masterson from the FBI. Seems that they had the spa under surveillance when you...
When you pulled your John Wayne stunt and blew it all to hell. We've been working on this for weeks, Kang.
Hey, barkeep. Another Jack.
You've jacked me around enough, Rafferty.
Nick.
Hangyu Kim, General of the North Korean Army.
It also has a pretty great soundtrack, featuring tons of music from a variety of different artists. Some artists would even record new music for the game. One of these artists was Snoop Dogg. When Snoop Dogg was approached to contribute to the game's soundtrack, they also discussed the possibility of him being a hidden playable character in the game. He would agree, and this marked Snoop Dogg's video game debut. You can unlock him by either collecting 30 dog bones scattered throughout the city, or you can enter a cheat code.
But that would be cheating.
Cheating! You can play as him in his special mission, Dog Patrol. You have 1 hour to solve as many crimes as you can. You can choose from anywhere in the city you want to start, and off we go to stop crime as Snoop Dogg. You're ranked by how well you do, but if a player solves around 55 crimes at least, they are ranked A, top dog. Let's take a look and see how well I did. I think Snoop's model looks great. He's got his own special car, and he even provided a lot of great voice lines too.
Yeah, kick some ass!
The dog follows all his wings, motherfucker.
It's a neat inclusion, though I wish he also had a role in the game's story. For my first time playing the game, I had some fun, and I had some not fun. While I've not tried True Crime New York City, I have played Sleeping Dogs, a game once bearing the name True Crime Hong Kong during development. If you'd like to try out something similar, Sleeping Dogs is definitely the way to go. I talked about Fight for New York in my last video, the awesome sequel to Def Jam Vendetta with a large cast of rappers duking it out. But I left out who the main antagonist was. You see, in Def Jam Vendetta, the big bad was D-Mob, voiced by Chris Judge.
But nobody ever beats me.
gets beat by the hero and then sent off to jail. Fight for New York begins right where we left off. In this game, we play as a new hero we get to create and customize who helps D-Mob and his crew.
Who this? This is the guy who was helping me get home while you two clowns were sitting around playing video games.
As we go around earning the respect of the crew with our fighting skills, eventually we meet Crow, played by none other than Snoop Dogg.
One more thing. Any fighters here that want to make some real money, you best join up with me before it's too late. Thanks for the hospitality. See you soon.
As things heat up between the two crews, D-Mob's crew is getting the upper hand, but one Sticky Fingers is fed up with us taking over as top fighter and switches sides.
Bullshit! You better watch yourself. Nah, man, you better watch yourself. I'm out of here.
Looks like you got yourself a little morale issue there, brother. See you Friday.
Don't worry about Sticky. You just be ready.
Crow goes on to send some of his crew to take us out. We throw Danny Trejo in front of a train and escape, but D-Mob gets arrested again.
You coming with us?
Leave me.
Forget it. Crow's gonna die for this.
No, remember what I said. That ain't the way. Now get the hell out of here. Come on, let's go.
With D-Mob behind bars again, Blaze, played by Method Man, takes over as leader from here on out. After we once again refuse to join Crow, he kidnaps our girlfriend and tells us we must win back the clubs for him.
You're gonna win back my clubs and put my bosses back in place. Anyone asks, you had a change of heart, decided to make some real money. You say otherwise, the deal's off, and so is she.
See? He's so tough.
Once we betrayed our crew and earned back the clubs for Crow, it's time for one last task. We find Blaze brutally beaten and must finish him off for good.
Finish him. Perfect.
We refuse, and then we must fight our way out.
Stupid move.
Stupid move.
Yeah, he never was that bright.
Wanna jump off? Let's go.
Once done, we find out where our girlfriend is being held, but surprise, they were going to kill her anyway. We get there and fight Sticky Fingers in a ring of fire. We carry our girlfriend out of the burning building, but she doesn't seem to wake. Blaze has cleared our name with the crew as we head on over to confront Crow. Before the big battle begins, some of Crow's crew even have a change of heart and switch sides.
I'm out, man. He's your problem.
Me too. I had enough of this.
Fine, you die too, motherfucker. Come on, take all these bitches out.
We got this one.
As the two crews collide, we go and confront Crow for one last fight.
We end this now, Crow.
Hey man, what you waiting on? Shoot this fool! Now!
Hey, yo, you know what? Fuck this shit. It's all yours.
Looks like you got a morale issue there, brother.
Come on, man. Ain't no need for this. Just join with me. I earned the city fair and square.
You broke the code.
Fuck the code. D-Mob was always talking that old school loyalty bullshit. You from the streets, you know there's only one code out here that matters. Ride or get rolled on. Hey, hold up.
A beaten dog may
You ain't
fear
even
you,
working.
but the second you turn your back, he's gonna strike.
With Crow thrown out the window and defeated, the player takes a moment to reflect as the game comes to a close. Fight for New York, as I've said, is a great game and a top-notch sequel. Snoop Dogg does great as Crow, and the rest of the cast also do a great job. I do hope that one day we get a proper follow-up to Fight for New York, but sadly, it seems we'll have to keep wishing, wanting, and led on by Def Jam tweets for the rest of our lives. Maybe someday. We're going to keep the punches going as we talk about our next game.
Next battle.
Tekken, the beloved fighting game franchise that first began in Japan in 1994. I've not got to play a lot of Tekken as much as I'd like to, but for this video I had to pick up a copy of a certain game in the series. The console versions of Tekken Tag Tournament 2 were first released in 2012. With the largest playable roster in any Tekken game, players get to select 2 fighters to fight with. You can switch them out with a click of a button at any time, and even do some crazy moves together too. Oh. Ooh, that was kind of clean. Speaking of 2s, 2 great things in the Tekken series are the music and the stages. In an interview at the time with series director Katsuhiro Harada, he had this to say. The Tekken team has always tried to implement different genres of music throughout the series, but one thing we've never done was hip-hop or rap. Enter Snoop Dogg. At first we weren't focused on Snoop yet. We just knew that we wanted to use hip-hop. When we approached our marketing folks, they said, you know, that's kind of a good idea, and we've heard that Snoop Dogg is actually quite a fan of Tekken. Snoop Dogg would go on to record the track Knock 'Em Down for Tekken Tag Tournament 2, as well as getting his own stage. The rapper sits upon his throne and watches over as each fight goes on. I'd love for the stage to return, or even better if Snoop Dogg was a playable fighter, which it sounded like he really wanted to be one. Maybe in the next battle. This next game also includes fighting and Snoop Dogg, but it sure ain't Tekken or Def Jam Fight for New York. I'm gonna keep this one brief. Way of the Dog. This was a digital-only title on the Xbox 360, PS3, and was also on mobile devices apparently. This game is awful.
Well, I don't know what I expected.
It's a bad rhythm game put together with Elmer's glue and the Unity engine.
I'll let you two get acquainted. Places to
Does
go
the menu
to
really
see.
have to like make
Time.
that sound?
Time is money.
Oh, look at that, we broke it. Its story involves martial arts, time travel, and Snoop Dogg. Out of the entirety of Snoop's discography, we only get a handful of songs, and they replay at multiple levels. On top of that, it's censored. I don't want to spend any more time on this game than I already did. Don't play it. Don't. Next, let's take a look at Call of Duty, one of the best-selling video game franchises of all time. New year, new Call of Duty. Grab the Doritos and Mountain Dew, it's time to play some COD. 2013 gave us Call of Duty Ghosts, you know, the one where you get to play as a dog. Speaking of dogs, Call of Duty Ghosts had 2 voice packs with the multiplayer available as DLC you could purchase. These would replace the default one you'd normally hear with the voices of Arlie, Ermy,
Well done! You remind me of a younger, uglier me!
and Snoop Dogg.
Yo, what it do is your boy Big Snoop Deal Double G.
It's pretty neat to hear these 2 instead.
Team Deathmatch.
Training is over, sweetheart! Time for battle!
It seems like they also did it in 2016 with Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. They should do voice packs more often. The next 3 games in the series all share one thing: Snoop Dogg. Back in April of this year, Snoop Dogg was added as an operator in 2021's Call of Duty Vanguard. If you purchased the bundle, this meant you could also play as him in the free-to-play Battle Royale game Call of Duty Warzone. On top of this, the rapper was also made available in Call of Duty Mobile.
Snoop Deal Double G, fool.
Call of Duty Mobile is definitely not for me, and Warzone, as far as Battle Royales go, I just couldn't have much fun. The Godzilla King Kong event was going on, but even that was pretty boring too. So instead, I just played a ton of games in Vanguard, and it wasn't so bad. They do seem to offer a lot of crazy bundles in these games. Running around as Snoop Dogg, Armored Titans, and Terminators, it's pretty funny. At times, it was nice to play some Call of Duty again.
Don't mess with the pets.
And with that, we've come to our last game in the video. Or we would if things had gone differently. Let's rewind back to 2004. It was announced by Midway that a new game developed by Edge of Reality was to be released, called Fear and Respect. It was described as an open-world action-adventure game set in South Central Los Angeles. The game was going to be written and directed by the talented John Singleton, known for his work on films like Boys in the Hood and Poetic Justice. The player would take the role of Goldie, played by Snoop Dogg, who also worked with Mr. Singleton on the film Baby Boy. The gameplay would focus on shooting and hand-to-hand combat with some stealth missions, and was also said to have multiple endings and branching pathways in its story. The January 2005 issue of Game Informer had a whole cover story on the game. It even had an interview with Mr. Singleton on the game's development, screenshots, and a deeper look at what the game was to be. Paramount Pictures even announced a film adaptation based on the game was in the works. It all really sounded pretty interesting. Fear and Respect was originally at one point slated for a fall 2005 release for PS2 and original Xbox, but was later pushed to 2006, with versions for Xbox 360 and PS3 as well. However, somewhere down the line, the game was quietly canceled that year in 2006, with little to no explanation. Midway Games CEO at the time, David Zucker, indicated that Midway would continue to work with John Singleton and Snoop Dogg on future games. He suggested that the game may have been canceled due to the wide range of similar products currently on shelves. Midway would eventually close in the late 2000s with its assets bought by Warner Brothers. Edge of Reality seems to have been defunct since 2018, and in April of 2019, John Singleton would sadly pass away. In an interview with Snoop Dogg, he was asked about Fear and Respect's cancellation, and he had this to say.
Games, you know, rest in peace to John Singleton, but you were working with him on Fear and Respect. It was going to rival GTA. Can you tell us a little bit about just what was going on with that? Because unfortunately, it was canceled, and it could have been the biggest thing.
Man, that game was going to be hard, because we had sat down and we had really put together a real story that was like a motion picture, but a few things that got dropped behind the wall as far as the people video game early didn't really understand what we was trying to do. So it got dropped, but I think it was a great idea and it should be revisited in the memory of John Singleton.
If it had been released, I hope it would have turned out pretty solid. Maybe we'll get something like Fear and Respect in the future, and like Snoop said, in the memory of John Singleton. So those were the games I wanted to talk about. Most of them are pretty cool. As Snoop Dogg continues to make music, he's gonna keep making other things too. Breakfast foods, children's programming, and I'm sure it'll appear in even more video games down the road. I hope you enjoyed the video, and any last words, Snoop?
Shut the fuck up, bitch.